गैस ਦੀਆਂ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਦਿਨੋਂ ਦਿਨ ਵਧਦੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਸ ਕਾਰਨ ਲੋਕ ਕਾਫੀ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਮੈਟਰੋ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ 'ਚ ਗੈਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਵਾਧਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਮਾਹਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਲਦੀ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਰਾਹਤ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਗੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਗੈਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ 'ਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਵਾਧਾ ਯੂਕਰੇਨ ਤੇ ਰੂਸ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਮਲੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ।
It is shocking. It's way too expensive.
Yeah, it's a big concern for us.
COVID's kind of wearing off. People are starting to move around in those cars again. Well, limited supply, rising demand, guess what? Rising prices. Certainly with the accelerated demand, I would look for pretty rough pricing right through the summer. The first break really, I suspect, would be September, October, when the summer driving season ends.
In order to be able to charge your car at a condominium, you need to get permission from all of your neighbors, or at least 75% of them, according to the Strata Property Act. So that's an obstacle that needs yet to be overcome.
Once it comes to a long weekend, watch out for the prices to go. What's the message? You don't be filling up the tank on the long weekend, or in the middle, kind of on the beginning of it or the end of it. Smack in the middle of it, maybe a little bit. Other tricks, don't be topping up that tank in the morning or in the evening. Those are the rush hours. You want to be looking for the slack periods, midday kind of thing. So that's when you would want to try and, fill up the tank.
People can actually come out ahead financially by making climate smart decisions. And the reason is it gives people flexibility. The alternative is a heavy-handed government regulation that tells you what kind of car you have to drive, what kind of heat system you need for your house. A price lets people decide for themselves what the lowest cost way is for them to reduce their emissions. So carbon pricing is our main tool to meet our climate targets because it's the lowest cost way to get there. So every household in Ontario will get about $700 back in a climate action rebate over the coming year. And that's about $130 more than the average household spends in carbon tax. So there's an incentive to reduce your emissions. The families that reduce their emissions the most are going to make the most and keep the most money in their wallet.
It's much higher than the rate of inflation. And while some will say, that's great, I still get a rebate for a lot of that. The fact is it's the price as it increases has to go somewhere. And it tends to make its way through the economy. And it shows up in places that most of us find most unpleasant. Things like, for instance, food prices. But the cost of living is becoming a growing concern for Canadians. Affordability has now become a major concern for most Canadians.
But the fact that it's going up over the long run means we can all look ahead when we're making decisions about what's our next car going to be. How are we going to insulate our house when it's time to do that? And you can actually decide what's a smart investment, knowing that the price of fuel is going to be going up steadily over the next 8 years.